Good morning! After the Sphere last night, I'm surprised any of you were here. You know, it's funny, I did a signing event for my bourbon at Aria yesterday, and a number of you were online. I'm guessing some of you were here, but I could tell who the Nada people were. They were the livelier ones in the group. So I hope you guys are enjoying Las Vegas. You know, it's an honor for me to come here and talk to you today, and I want to share with you some of the best practices and experiences I've ever had. But I'm not going to say, don't do this, do that, don't do that, do this, because that's what most speakers do. And 70% of people that leave a seminar don't change a damn thing. So I don't want to change what you do. I want to change the way you think today. And if I can change the way you think, I can't help but change what you do. You guys have been through hell the past few years. I get it. The hell isn't quite over yet. I get it. But there's opportunity in every one of our lives that we can seize at an accelerated rate, at a better rate, and I want to talk about that today. So let me start with bar rescue and get it out of the way. About 13 years ago, I was giving a speech like this, and somebody says, hey, you should be on television. So I went back to my office. I wrote something up called On the Rocks. Little TV show was a cross between Kitchen Nightmares and Mission Impossible. So they dropped me into bars, and I'd have files like Mission Impossible, and I'd pull out my experts, and I had consulted to Paramount years earlier. So I went to my friends at Paramount. I drove through the big gates, and I met in the big conference room, and I had called my friends ahead of time and said, can you get some TV people in the room? I want to run an idea by you. Tell me if I'm crazy or not. So I sit in a room, and I tell him my idea, and the head of television looked at me and said, I'll say it cleaner than he did, said, John, you will never be on television. You're too old, you're not good looking enough, it'll never happen. Well, I drove through the gates of Paramount, sort of bummed, said to hell with it. Only I can say no to me. So I went and I did my own sizzle reel. I sent it to 4 production companies, got 4 out of 4 offers, and instantly, can I get my stool out here, by the way? 4 out of 4 offers was on TV in less than a year. And in a couple of weeks, believe it or not, I crossed my 250th episode. So you never know how things go. Thank you. So now I've done bar rescue, marriage rescue, hungry investors, restaurant rivals. I'm a television producer, and it started for me in my 50s. But wow, all the business television that I do, all the people I get to speak to, all the connections that I get to make, they've changed my lives. And you all have learned what to do in business. These are the blocks of success. These are the sales practices. These are this, these are that. Wow, that was magic. That's pretty unbelievable. These are this, these are... I have learned in the past 12 years everything not to do in business. But I have found that you learn far more from failure than you do success. And that's what I want to share with you today. You know, I've been on TV 13 years, 240 episodes. I'm on TV 40-something hours a week. Can you believe it? My wife still can't get over that this face is on TV so many hours a week. 138 million people will watch me on 3,700 channels in 5 different languages. It's funny to watch the owners cry in Spanish. I always enjoy seeing that. And believe it or not, from a no, you're crazy, John, you will never be on television, into $1 billion revenue basis for TV. But what have I learned in this process? First of all, is it real? And I want you guys to know this, and what I'm going to tell you, I say on my mother's grave. Yes. No scripts, no actors, no anything. Here's what happens. I show up at Bar Rescue on day 1 at about 5 in the afternoon. I get in the makeup chair, they puff me up, comb my hair, and I get literally a 60-second briefing. John, the bar is owned by John and George. They're in debt of $500,000. They're about to lose their house. They're losing $7 grand a month. They have enough money to make it 2 more months. That's all I know. I then go in and do recon, which you guys see on television. The reason why the show is successful is because I don't know anything before you do. I learn it at the same time you do. We go through this experience together. Recon, anything can happen. I can start throwing food. I can feel bad for them. Every situation is different. So at the end of recon, here's what you don't know. I leave the bar, and I put all the employees in vans in the parking lot. I then go in and design the bar that night. Remember, I've never been there before. I've never met these people before. I have about an hour to effect the design and a concept. I look at the demographics. I look at the competitive information. I come up with a concept direction. I look at the building, the height, the width, the columns, all the elements I can, and I put together a concept that night. Day 2 on television, you see stress test and training. What you don't see is I got to design everything with my team. We got to pick out the walls, the wallpapers, the colors, and I can't get this bar stool. I can only get that bar stool. Here's a little secret in Bar Rescue. We have to order our furniture and get it within 24 hours. You'll never see all matching bar stools in any episode of Bar Rescue. I can't get 60 of the same one in 24 hours, but I can get 12 of these, 9 of those, and 6 of these. So next time you watch an episode, look at the bar stools. By the end of the second day, when stress test is over, the logos are done. The orders and recipes are done into the food and beverage vendors. All the furniture is done. All the fixtures and everything is ordered. All the construction is coordinated. And after stress test, at 11 o'clock at night on day 2, we start remodeling. We remodel the night of day 2. We remodel on day 3. Day 3 on TV, you see me training and my experts training in another location because we're remodeling on day 3. On day 4, those same white vans pull up with the staff in blindfolds. We pull up in front of the bar. Yes, I do remodel it in 36 hours. We turn them around. They see their bar. I spend a couple hours with them. They have new menus, new food, new training, new environment, new brand, new name, new energized owners, and it all happened in 4 days. So I ask you guys a question. What the hell takes you so long to do everything? You guys talk about marketing promotions 3 weeks before you do it. By the time you do it, your competitors already did. Why does everything take so long? And what are the most powerful lessons that I've learned from this process? Because you all see and learn about success. The failure that I've seen in 250 years is remarkable. So, we do it in 4 days, not 4 weeks, not 4 months. We pack up, take 2 days off, and go do it again. Monday, I fly down to Boca Raton, Florida, to do a few more bar rescues. We'll do 40 this year. So the power of time has taught me so much. And breweries and companies like this hire me for consulting. And I go and I look at their companies and I have a meeting. And then I have another meeting, and another meeting, and another meeting. And I look at them and I say, at what point do you decide something? So we simply said to these companies, okay, every time we have a meeting, you're going to have a purpose defined before the meeting. This is an investigative meeting. This is a discussion meeting. This is a decision meeting. And we lock ourselves down to making decisions because sometimes the same decision is made 60 days later. What did the 60 days cost us? Think about what time cost you. Think about when you don't contact the lead for 2 days and somebody else contacted them sooner. What does time cost then? Talk about outgoing sales. Not in a hurry, so 10 or 15% less outreaches happen in a day. What's the cost of that? When you think about time and the expense of time, I suggest it's probably your greatest expense. And Bar Rescue taught me how much we all waste time every single day in business. So I went and created what I call the Process Acceleration Project. And for all of our corporate clients, we challenged every single department and every single company, even huge companies like what we're sitting. I want everybody to accelerate their process by 10%. I want 10% more in time. I want 10% more in calls. I want 10% more in meetings. I want every person in this building is to accelerate by 10%. Just 10%. That's a biteable number. We can do that. And the impact on the businesses was phenomenal. 15, 17% revenue increases. 3-4 points off the bottom line. Would have come off in 90 days, but it came off that month. The change was remarkable. If we don't only commit to process, we also commit to time. But the biggest lesson of bar rescue of all, with all the lessons I've learned about failure, happened to me in Detroit, Michigan, believe it or not. I was in Detroit, Michigan, and I was rescuing a bar, and the owner of this bar, when I looked at her and said, "Why are you failing?" And I do this in every episode. Sometimes it makes it to the TV, sometimes it doesn't. But in every case, I always say, "Why are you failing?" And this woman looked at me square in the eyes and said to me, "John, I'm failing because of the euro in Greece." I'm in Detroit. I get there's somewhat of a Greek community there, but come on. I went back to my hotel room that night and I realized I had done 120 episodes of bar rescue. I had asked 120 owners, why are they failing? And 120 of them never once said because of me. Not one single time. Everyone blamed the location, the weather, the president, the Congress, the war, the depression, the recession, the pandemic. Everybody had an excuse. And then I thought about it. And I went back to my hotel room and I realized, holy cow, I found the common denominator of failure. Because every single person who fails has some excuse other than themselves. The sales guy, we don't have the lead flow this month, I expected. Oh no, this guy said he'll be back. Really, how many people do you believe will be back? So every person has that excuse. So I went home and I thought to myself, that's my next book. I'm going to squash all the excuses that destroy us. And I went and I did an analysis and I wrote my book, Stop BSing Yourself, Cut the Excuses That Are Holding You Back, New York Times bestseller. And it was all about the premise of how do excuses damage our lives. You see, excuses paralyze us. I got a reason not to move forward now, don't I? I got a reason to be cautious. Excuses stop all progress. But think about it. What's the definition of an excuse? Well, I didn't do something I should have. Excuse. I did something I shouldn't have. Excuse. I disappointed myself in sales results. Excuse. I fell short of my goals and expectations. Excuse. I made a bad choice. Excuse. I didn't close the sale. Excuse. Otherwise, I screwed up something or I wouldn't need the damn excuse. So I thought to myself, wow, what happens if we really remove excuses from our process? And what are the key excuses that really cause failure? Well, the big five. The fear excuse, I love this one. We're scared to make this investment. We're scared to do this, so we don't. But if you're scared, then the data means nothing. That proves you should do it. If you're scared, then there's no analysis. There's no risk assessment. Nothing gets fair because you're scared. Now, unless you're standing on the edge of a cliff, what you're scared of, probably millions of business owners already did. So I suggest to you that fear is BS. Business fear is BS. Fear should never, never be part of a decision in business. Fear must be separate of evaluation, or the evaluation becomes BS, doesn't it? So, the fear excuse. I love the product knowledge excuse. I don't have the knowledge. I don't have the industry knowledge. I don't have the sales knowledge. I don't have the business knowledge. I don't have the marketing knowledge. Has anybody been to YouTube lately? Come on. If you want to learn how to sell in a week, you can learn how to sell in today's world, can't you? How many videos are online for overcoming objections, prospecting, qualifying, closing, the pen close, the mechanical close, the emotional close, the pride close? You can watch videos all day. Knowledge is bullshit. To suggest that we can't succeed today because of a lack of knowledge is an excuse that tells me you don't have a lack of knowledge, you just don't want the knowledge because it's there. So that's not a valid excuse. I love the time excuse. I didn't have the time today, John. What's your name? Gwen? Gwen. If I said to you, Gwen, I want you to find me a pink polka dot shirt today. I'll give you $100,000 if you find it. When she wakes up this morning, it's going to be really early, isn't it? She's going to be focused on shirts from the minute she gets up, and she's going to be on it till 11 tonight until she can't hold her eyes open anymore. because she chose to. You see, every one of us spend time on social media every day. Every one of us do things that we choose to do that might not be consistent with what our boss wants us to do or our job requires us to do. I suggest to you that you never run out of time. You just chose not to do what I needed you to. So time is not a valid excuse anymore. It just isn't. And then I love the circumstance excuse. You know, I wanted to buy a new car for my wife a couple years ago. I live here in Las Vegas. There were no cars anywhere. We wound up buying a car we would have never bought for a brand we never bought because they're the only guys that called us back. So in circumstances like these, you can do one or two things. Circumstance is not an excuse, it's a reality. If you can't succeed in today's circumstance, you can't change that. Your knowledge you can change. Fear you can change. But you can't change circumstance. We have to sell to circumstance. We have to merchandise and market to circumstance. And we have to deal with the environment we have. Those who do win. Those who say, circumstance is an excuse to me, are the ones that fail. So I saw it during the recession, during the pandemic in the restaurant industry. Friends of mine went broke and friends of mine got rich in the same environment. I suggest the same exists in yours. I love the scarcity excess. You ever hear the story of John King and Henry Ford? I love this story. John King was Henry Ford's sister's husband. Worked in the Ford factory. Henry Ford didn't like him. Fired him. When he fired John King, he gave him a truck at the end of the assembly line, said, here's a truck. You can have all the wood scraps from the assembly line. Get the hell out of here. So John King had this truck and all these wood scraps, didn't know what to do with them. Created Kingsford charcoal briquettes. Died a multi-millionaire. He took circumstance and made it work for him, didn't he? He took scarcity, made it work for him. My grandfather used to say, you know what, if your wallet isn't thick, your phone book better be. There are solutions out there that don't cost money. Scarcity, less staff, less money, less resources, is not an excuse of failure, it's an opportunity for new thought. If you buy into the excuse, you never get to the place where the new thought even happens. So don't allow these excuses to rip you off from your own solution and creative thoughts, because that's what happens. The excuse stops it all, and none of our growth happens. None of us bubble to the top, because that damn excuse paralyzed us. And then I consider how not only does it paralyze, but it stops all growth. Because when you stop evaluating things, you stop growing, don't you? When you stop thinking about, gee, what could I do in this environment? That's when you grow. That's when you shine. That's when salespeople and marketing people and general managers and owners all bubble to the top, is in times like this, not when it's easy. So, look in the mirror for a moment, because here's where I think excuses hit us the worst. Let's say I'm a salesman, and I'm at 50% of my goal for the month, and the month is almost over. I'm in big shape, bad shape. I'm going to wake up in the morning, I'm going to look in the mirror, and I'm going to blame this on the economy. That son of a bitch. I have no reason to change, do I? It's not my fault. It's his fault, that son of a bitch. My sales manager's not giving me any leads, my this, my that. I got 1,000 reasons, but every morning, when I look in the mirror and I shave, I blame someone or something else. I have no reason to change, do I? I have no reason to grow, do I? But what if I looked in the mirror and actually blamed myself? What if I looked in the mirror and say, you know what? Yep, sales manager's not gonna be as mad, but I could work him better. Yep, but you know what? I'm responsible for my success. This is on me. If you hold yourself accountable when you look in your own eyes, that's when you change. That's when growth happens. That's when people triple their income in 1 year, is when they own their failure. Then they chase their success. So when you look in that mirror in the morning, if you have a propensity to blame other people for the things that are negatively impacting your life, I hate to use this term, but I'm going to say it. I think you're full of shit. I do. Because we're accountable for what does happen to us. And looking in that mirror and self-accountability changes everything. Clearly, we're in changing times. There's no question about it, guys. You know, inventory issues, sales issues, interest rate issues. There's many, many things that are plaguing that easy sale that used to happen years ago. But let me change your mindset for a moment. What business are we in? What business are you in? You know, if I asked you to answer the question, some of you would say, I'm in a sales business. Okay. I'm in a marketing business. I sell cars. I'm in a service business. I sell transportation solutions. All sorts of phrases we come up with. And I suggest that every single one of them is dead frickin' wrong. I don't think you guys sell cars at all. You guys are in the business of reactions, not cars. How do they react to the ad? Is it trusting? Is it curiosity? Does it make me want to respond to that brand or that dealer or that store? Marketing isn't about marketing, it's about reactions. If people don't react to the marketing, it's meaningless. So, when I say what business we're in, I believe we're in the business of reactions. You see, everything we do is a process, never a result. That process must establish a positive reaction. That reaction is our product. The reaction when they see an ad, the reaction when they hear an ad, the reaction when they call, the reaction when they walk through the door, the reaction when the salesperson first connects and walks up to them, the reaction when they're shown the vehicles, the reaction on the sales process. That is what we sell, the reaction. And I make no mistake, put two Ford dealers in the same city. The one who creates the greatest reactions in advertising, phone, and overall response is going to outsell the guy who doesn't. Same product, same market. One creates great reactions, the other doesn't. So I suggest to you in your business, if you say, hold on, I'm not writing checks for marketing that doesn't create reactions anymore. What are the reactions I'm looking to create? Am I prompting a phone call? Am I prompting a visit? Am I introducing a new model? Am I seeking sales? What is my objective? And how do I create a reaction in that advertising to accomplish that? How to create trust? How do I connect with a marketplace? All of these things are reactive. So I suggest that you don't do transactions, you do reactions. And those who do the best in the reaction business do the best in the transaction business. And that's where I think car dealers blow it. Every ad looks the same. Every commercial sounds the same. There's a sameness amongst all of you as an outsider looking in. And I look for those dealers, and I always look as I travel the country for any business that's creating real reactions in a way it markets. Wow, these guys sound, I'm actually going to go over there and see these guys. I want to meet these guys. I want to call these guys. The reaction over the phone is one of the most important. And that's where a lot of us drop the ball as well. So I suggest to you that you should look at your businesses from the first moment of contact till they drive out the garage. How do I build more reactions into my business? I own the term reaction management. My first book, Raise the Bar, was about reaction management. Reaction management is the science of manipulating reactions. Let me share it with you. How many of you have been at Disney World? How many of you have been hugged by Mickey Mouse? If you saw who was in that costume, you would never be hugged by Mickey Mouse ever again. But you didn't see foam and fabric. You saw Mickey. Let's say you go to Walt Disney World with the ugliest child on the planet. This is one ugly kid, third eye in the center of its head, big hat, and you're wheeling this kid down Main Street, and you walk up to a VIP hostess, and you say, what time does the parade start? That VIP hostess will answer your question. She will bend down, she'll pick up that kid's hat, and look at the most astonishingly ugly child she has ever seen in her life. Puts the hat back, looks at mom and says, she's adorable. And mom stands up straight. And the reaction just happened. Because there's only two places in the world where that kid is adorable. Disney World and grandma's house, that's it. Go down the street to Universal Studios, that does not happen. And the prices are half of Disney, and the audience is half of Disney. Disney understands they don't sell rides, they sell reactions. They don't have janitors, they have cast members. They don't wear costumes, they wear uniforms. They don't work in stations, they work in stages, areas. They're all trained to provide reactions, which drives millions and millions of people to stand in line. Think about it. You go to Disney, you get through the gate, $200 almost. You stand on line at your first attraction for an hour, hour and a half. 3-minute attraction. Get off it, you run to the next one. On line for another hour and a half. 3-minute attraction. You run to get a Coke. $14.95 in a plastic cup with Mickey Mouse on top. Now I got to carry this thing around with me all day. You stand on line again, you go to the store, you come back, you got bags of stuff. You can't believe everything you bought because Disney is so good at reactions. And I suggest that there's a lot of lessons in the way they communicate and deal with customers in what we do. I'm not suggesting we have a mouse on the floor, but I'm suggesting if all of us put effort into phone reactions, marketing reactions, in-person sales reactions, every one of us will see an impact on our P&L in every single case. Because we live and die by the reactions we create. We live and die by those reactions. And think about it, you've seen it. You've seen salespeople with the wrong personality fail. Did all the right things, overcame objections, went for the close, did everything we trained them to do, but the connectivity wasn't there. And then you look at another salesman, frickin' guy did nothing right, but the connectivity was there. And this guy's writing deals all day long. You see, we hire personalities, and personalities need to work in an environment. And the connection of the personality and the environment must connect to a customer. And that connection must be somewhat emotional. It must mean something to them. Look what they're buying. One of their most expensive expenses. And if there's anything in the world that defines who we are, what is it? Our cars. Sell them the pride that they're looking for. Sell them the emotion that they're looking for. You know, people come in for a wedding in a hotel, we're involved in sales, and I show them a cheap bottle of wine that looks cheap, and I show them a beautiful bottle of wine. And I say, which one fits your event? Well, you're going to pick the beautiful bottle of wine. One is $8, the other's $60. You didn't even ask. It wasn't even an issue of price. This is the one you want. It's emotional. It's connective. Sure, you got to get past financing. I get all that, so I'm not being ridiculous here. But my point is this. Within those envelopes, we better be able to sell, and we be able to create reactions, especially in today's environment. I suggest if you do tomorrow what you did today, you'll get tomorrow what you got today. That's not good enough, is it? How many of us want bigger houses, more vacations? How about time in Tahiti? More friends, more social events, more smiles, more pleasure. All of that comes when we do something different tomorrow. The average person in America makes 3 to 5% more every year. Every once in a while you meet somebody who makes 800% more in one year to another. I'm one of those people. When I was a hotel employee, they put me in a property. I had the ability to raise revenues by 30% in like 3 months. When you do that, they move you to a bigger hotel pretty quickly. They moved me 8 times in 5 years. And I was making, at the end of those 8 moves, I was making 2,000% more than I started, all because I know how to drive revenue. Guys, we don't have expense problems. None of us do. Rent, marketing, promotion, payroll. We only have revenue problems. Revenue cures everything, doesn't it? So you can focus on the dimes, or you can focus on the dollars. But in today's environment where our industry is compressed, inventory, financing, we have to do something different today than we did yesterday. So I challenge you all to find those opportunities to be different and be better. Sure, you guys have been beaten down. COVID, lack of employees, operating costs, supply availability, consistency. I can't get this, but I can get that. This option isn't available anymore. The chips aren't there. Guys, I get it. But this is the life we've chosen. I sound like a mobster, don't I? This is the life we have chosen. You know what? We have no choice. This is the cards we've been dealt. I suggest if you reassess your business, focus on reactions, connectivity, from the top down, from marketing to customer leaving, everything can change. You see, we get so hung up in times like this that we work in our business every day. In it, in it, in it, in it. But great things happen, not when we work in it. Great things happen when we work on it. right? That's when the new ideas happen, the promotions happen, the new so everybody here, take that one day a month. So I'm not working in it today. Today I work on it. Today I work on new creative ideas, new marketing, new promotions, employee growth, whatever it is. But one day a month, at least, don't work in it. Work on it. That's when the magic really happens. You know, when you work on your business, new community programs, new events, new visibility, industry engagement, neighborhood marketing programs, past client promotions, cross-selling strategies, prospect development tactics. These are the kind of things that happen when we work on it, not in it. These are the ideas that create the fuel for revenue growth. And most of these things, again, happen when we step back and work on it in those creative times, not when we're in it, when we don't have the time for creative times. And Albert Einstein, pretty smart guy, said insanity is doing the same thing again and again and expecting a different result. Years ago, I used to have my 13, 17 restaurants. And I would go every September, and they would present their plans to me and their budgets. And one year they said to me, we're going to raise revenue by 20% in 6 months, John. Great. Next year, I come back after they didn't do it. John, we're going to raise revenue 20% in 6 months. I said, hold on. When does it raise? Does it all happen at the end of the 6th month? Do I see anything month 1? What about month 2, month 3? When do I see it? How about this? I don't want 20% in 6 months. I want 1% a week for 10 consecutive weeks. What a game changer that was. See, I hold sales accountability on a weekly basis, not a monthly basis. I count leads, not on a monthly basis, on a weekly basis. If the salesperson falls short the first week of the month, I want them to know it, because you got 3 weeks to catch up now. The end of the month, it's too freaking late. If marketing expense is too high, I want to know it first week of the month, not the last week of the month. So manage our businesses on a weekly basis. But insanity is doing it again and again. With the computer data we have today, there's no reason why you can't manage your business every day on your freaking phone almost, if you have the right data. So use this data, manage it in a much tighter way. And we have customer reaction opportunity windows, which are tricks we put in place to make customers react to us when they walk in. These times may be our best opportunity in years. I'll tell you why. Because the people that succeed now are going to be so armed for long-term success. You see, at a time like this, inaction is inexcusable. We have to act differently. We have to do what it takes to dig ourselves out. So big opportunity for growth, sophistication, better sales systems, better marketing promotional systems, all the things that are yielded from times like this. Big opportunity requires bold action. There's so much that can be done for so little, and it all comes back to one key objective: reaction management. Understanding the business that we're in. The business that we're in is connecting with people. When we connect, we win. When we don't connect, the other guy wins. I've changed a lot of lives over my years, and it's all by focusing on reactions. How do I get my team to react better to me? How do I get my prospects to react better? It's all about managing, not process, not people, reactions. So here's a slide I showed you early on. I think it's going to mean more to you now. Everything we do is a process, never a result. Our experiences must establish a positive and trusting reaction. That reaction is your product. It's not the car. It's the way they feel when you show it to them. That's what we sell. So embrace the concept. If you agree, and do you? If you agree, act. Do something different when you go back. Study the guys on the floor. See if they're creating the reactions. Reassess your marketing. Reassess your promotions. Reassess your community endeavors. Seek those reactions, because when you find them, that's when magic happens. Make it happen, everybody. Thank you so much. I appreciated being here today. What a great group. Thank you.